Call it what you want. A promo, a jingle, a sweeper, a stab, these are all different names for essentially the same thing. The idea is to simply create an audio message to promote and inform a radio listener about something. Something like a client's product or an event going on at your station.
Is your advertising as effective as you would like it to be? If not, the Sentinella is a
radio promos can vary in length from just a second or two, in which case they're usually called stabs or short sweepers.
This is your Fame Games Sports Update.
Yeah, great shot, man.
Does anyone really care?
To 30, 45, or even 60 seconds, in which case they'll be referred to as promos or jingles.
What would the world be like with no more boring, manufactured music being force-fed to radio and TV? It's time for a revolution.
Do you have the result?
It's a bit of a shocker. Although some people will insist that a jingle must also contain tailor-made singing and a signature tune.
Congratulations to the Fame Games crew on your 200th show.
Still, let's call them all promos from this point on. Here are some of the things to keep in mind when creating a professional radio promo, even before you start your production. The length of your promo. This time constraint will be what actually drives your entire production. Radio stations typically sell their airtime to advertisers on a time basis, meaning a client is sold 30 seconds or 1-minute ads and is charged based on that length. Some stations will have a little flexibility built in and won't quibble if you're supposed to deliver a 45-second ad but came out with a 50-second one. But many other stations will be sticklers for details and will reject an ad which is either too short or too long. So knowing how long your promo needs to be will dictate the entire production technique from that point on. Next, you need to keep in mind the placement of your promo on the target station and its sound. Does the promo need to be designed for a specific station or even a specific program? Or is it to run across many programs or even many stations? If the case is that the promo you're making is to run during a specific show, you need to make it sound compatible with that show, either by sort of extending the sound of that show or by complementing it. If, on the other hand, your promo is to have a more general application, you still need to consider the kind of stations that will be playing it. For example, if your promo is to run on a talk station, then making the production noisy and punchy may not be the best idea. Analogically, if the promo is to play on a top 40 music station, making the promo dull and pedestrian might not work all that well either. Next, you need to look at the content of your promo. Is it going to be an advertisement of a specific product or service or event, or is it a branding promo which doesn't really inform but only brands the name of the sponsor into the listener's ear? With that in mind, you need to tailor the advertiser's message in such a way that no words are wasted and that the message comes through in the best way possible. You may need to revise the actual text many times before you finally settle on the right version. Next, you need to look at the promo bed or beds. Your client may already have a specific music bed in mind, and so might you. Regardless, there are certain principles to keep in mind when selecting a bed. You need to always strive to ensure that the bed does not dominate or distract from the spoken message. Some promo producers insist that you cannot use songs as beds because the words can draw the listener in and distract from the message. This is a pretty good general rule of thumb, but by no means is it gospel either. That's because certain songs can set off psychological triggers in the listeners, and rather than distract, they actually help to retain the message.
Hey, soul sister.
For everything you ever dreamed music could be, go to La Musica Marbella. Top brand.
There are therefore no fixed and fast rules here. You always need to use your ears to make a determination. But you do have to ensure that the way you mix the voiceover with the bed leaves enough oral space for the message to come through clearly. For that, you need to know something about EQ, or equalization, of each element of your mix. I'm not going to go into this here, but suffice it to say that you need to ensure that all the elements of your mix must sit in their own distinctive EQ pockets. Now, when considering the bed, you need to match the music, its tempo and dynamics with the flow of the message itself. Rhythmic beds work great in some cases, while long, spacey sounds may work in others. Also, mixing and matching multiple beds can work as a way to constantly refocus the listener's ear. You also need to think about any additional production effects to help drive the message home. Some producers simply love to put in explosions and sweeps and crackles and pops into their mixes.
Here, give it to me.
Fame games, better than a kick in the crotch.
That can work great sometimes, but it can also be annoying at other times. Again, there is no fixed and fast rule here, so use your ears. And remember, these production effects must only serve one purpose, and that is to help drive the message home and to underline specific parts of the message. Put too many in, and you're creating a mess. You also need to consider the kind of voiceover that will be suitable for the promo. Should it be the client's voice, or one of your presenters? Or perhaps you should hire external talent to do it. Contrary to what you might hear from some of the old pros in this business, there is, once again, no fixed and fast rule. You do what works. Never fall for dogmatic guidelines like,
"We never use our own presenters to voice our ads."
or for that matter,
"We only use our own presenters to do our ads."
like any dogmatic position, it limits your scope and excludes reality from the picture. Still, you need to agree with everyone involved on what kind of a voiceover will be needed. And these come in all shapes and sizes. Should be male or female, straight or affected and pompous, funny or spooky, loud or quiet, processed or not, and so on and on.
And vote and review now at famegamesradio.com.
At last, you need to consider the final post-production sound. In the ideal world, you should create a promo with the best and most optimal loudness, broad stereo spectrum, and a clean sound. The kind you can almost touch.
Hi, this is Lionel Richie, and you're listening to Fame Games.
Hey, what's up, everybody? It's your girl, Chantel, and you're listening to Fame Games.
Fame games, the choice for people who don't suck.
But the problem with this is that many stations will feel that your promos blow them out of the air, literally. They'll come back to you and complain that your promos are too noisy or too loud. These stations often don't know much about sound production. They don't know that they can apply compressors or limiters to their promos, or indeed that they can upgrade their own sound. So what, are you going to fight them? Probably not. For this reason, you need to establish what kind of sound the station has and deliver your promos at a level that complements them. You may need to do multiple alternative mixes for that reason.